Hello, folkies. Today we're going to discuss a couple books. This is my master's thesis from Johns Hopkins. It's called Underneath the Glamour. I chose the title because after touring on Ozfest and doing other such things, I just saw the seedy underbelly and wrote about some of the stuff that people don't talk about, because if you have issues that people are afraid to talk about it and you bring it to the surface, maybe we can make a change. Anyways, there is a story in this book that inspired this book. The story is called Served. It was originally written as a short story as part of a master's thesis. And it just kind of evolved. I started writing this book, which is called Modern Day Pirates. I don't know why the title just stuck. And the screenplay started off as an orgy, and I just didn't know what to do with it, and it just all came together at once. So I'm going to read a selection of Served, which is the original story that I wrote for my thesis, and it's also in the back of the book here. And there's been a change in ownership, the manager lisped, snapping his fingers to garner attention, and we're officially no longer affiliated with the mafia in any way, shape, or form. He allowed a minute of hushed buzz of chatter from the shocked group of employees and pointed to a sign with a limp-wrist gesture, and added that a new name of the restaurant, along with all its waterfront affiliates, is now the S&M Grill, which, of course, stands for Seaman and Maritime. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, our corporation has been bought out by pirates. A hum of talk whispered around me, as the information was new to many, but the manager broke in again. You may notice that some of your former co-workers are no longer with us, and the corporate headquarters, which is actually on a pirate ship in international waters, have informed us of the reason being pure discrimination. They want to employ the extremes, meaning their workers will be either sexy, disfigured, no in between. I glanced around. There were no average-looking people, either beautiful enough to walk out of the pages of a magazine, or horrible to the point that you could no longer look away. From missing eyeballs, legs, and fingers to badly burned, scarred, and extremely short, many of the new crew looked like they had been part of the circus, a freak show, or a natural mix for a haunted house crew. We now encourage art and individuality, so feel free to go out and get body modifications. That's one huge difference between the old and the new management. This corporation will actually reimburse any tattoos, piercings, or body modifications, and you can write off the art on your taxes as being required for work. One large ogre of a man was sleeved out in tattoos, his lip pierced 6 times, 3 rings on his top lip and 3 on his lower. He smiled when the manager spoke, exposing a golden gap-toothed grin. Of the half-dozen teeth still in his mouth, all were capped with gold. With the idea being to highlight local color, the company has encouraged us to engage in individualized uniforms, the manager went on. If you would like to go out and get genital artwork, you might want to consider wearing chaps or a skirt with no underwear. Yes, you will be prepared for sexual harassment, as it will happen, and if you can't handle it, leave now. One girl with glasses, a ponytail, and a short schoolgirl skirt raised her hand to speak. Well, if the guests give us a hard time, what are we supposed to do? She batted her eyes innocently, her grin shining with evil. Take it with a smile on our face? That's a good question. The manager smiled wise, exposing gums above his teeth, which happened to be the exact color of his skirt, dusky pink. The beauty of working for pirates is that they expect you to be like one of them. Act official. That means when a customer gives you shit, you give them shit right back. The ogre cleared his throat and spit a large green hawker on the floor. So if somebody gives us a bad tip, that means we can say something to them? What if they don't like the food? If a customer stiffs you, feel free to chase their asses down and scream at them, the manager cackled. Embarrass them, as that type of shit is not appreciated anywhere, especially here. If there's an honest complaint about the food, we can fix it. But if they're being nitpicky, feel free to take it away or let them go hungry or just spill it on them. A high-pitched voice squeaked above employees' laughter. So, can we just throw food at our customers? I looked around for who was talking and realized it was coming from right next to me, a bald-headed man that could barely come up to my waist.
We just stand up and start food fights?
Food fights are permitted on specific times of the day only, the manager retorted, as we do not want to waste more food than we have to. However, if a person is giving you shit and you're trying to make a point, make an example out of them, and feel free to dump the dinner in their lap. There will be a scheduled time for dinner room food fights, specific days when we need to get rid of waste products, and people will pay extra to dine with us during those times.
Are we going to have other special events?
A girl who looked like a boy, hair cut short like a pixie, had one hand with only 2 fingers. I could not tear my eyes away from her claw hand, which looked more like a birth defect than the result of an accident. We'll have specific events on different days of the week, the manager said with a glimmer of greed in his eyes. People will pay premium prices to join us during these times, paying a cover on top of what they would normally pay for a regular meal. These events are still being made into a listing, so if you have any ideas, feel free to submit them to me on an individual basis. A man who was missing half of his face as if from some sort of explosion spoke up. If you pick our ideas, do we get any reward? He didn't bother with a glass eye in his socket, so you could see clear into his brain from his eye. His cheek sunk in half of his face, and the top